Arm to leg timing in butterfly is the single skill that holds the whole stroke together. Without it, it becomes impossible to swim butterfly fast, and it becomes very difficult to swim butterfly at all. Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. And in this video, we're going to discuss what arm to leg timing is in butterfly, why it's important, some strategies to help improve it, and then some sets that show you how to use those strategies to actually help your swimmers get faster. We're going to cover everything you need to know about arm to leg timing in butterfly. Let's dive in. So let's get started by describing what arm to leg timing actually is in butterfly. A key point here is that in addition to providing propulsion, the leg kick, the dolphin kick, also lifts the hips up to the surface of the water. And so a strong kick is necessary to lift the hips after recovering the arms. And so by lifting the head and the chest to recover the arms, that's going to push the hips down in the water. And so the body is going to move through the surface of the water at an incline, and that's obviously going to create a lot of drag. It's a necessary movement in order to recover the arms, but we want to minimize the impact and the duration of that impact to create more speed. And we can do that by kicking when the hands enter the water, and that's going to get the hips back up to the surface. It's going to get the chest down, and that's going to allow the swimmer to reestablish horizontal alignment. That's going to reduce drag, that's going to reduce resistance, and that's going to allow for more speed. That kicking action also has the benefit of getting the hips high and the chest low, which sets swimmers up for a powerful pull when they reverse that position and start to raise the chest up in the water. That allows them to get more leverage on the water, which means a stronger and more effective pull. So that kick when the hands enter the water is critical for reestablishing horizontal alignment, as well as setting up the next stroke cycle. So as I just mentioned, the kick lifts the hips in addition to providing propulsion. And that same effect is going to be critical for the second kick. And so a strong kick is necessary to lift the hips just prior to recovering the arms. And so lifting the head and the chest is going to drive the hips down. But if the hips are down, it's going to be nearly impossible to recover the arms over the surface. So the hips need to be up at the surface to get the hands in a position where they can recover smoothly and with as little effort as possible. How's that going to happen? A strong kick. And so by kicking when the hands are exiting the water, that's going to lift the hips up. So the hands are going to be right at the surface of the water so that they can recover smoothly and easily. And so if the kick isn't strong enough or it's poorly timed, it's going to be a lot more difficult for swimmers to execute a smooth or effortless recovery. Beyond the benefits of facilitating recovery, a strong kick and a strong pull performed at the same time is going to create a lot of propulsion, a big surge in speed, which is going to help swimmers get through the recovery because there's not going to be any propulsion during that period. So they need to have as much speed as possible moving into the arm recovery. If they don't have much speed, they're really going to slow down during the arm recovery, and that's going to make the whole stroke a lot more difficult to execute. So let's take a look at these skills in action. So we'll see here, the body's at an incline right there. That's not going to be the best position to move through the water with. And so while it's necessary to recover the arms, swimmers want to get out of that position quickly. And so by recovering the arms, it gets the hips up. But if you watch there, that kick really flicks the hips up as well, and it gets the body back into alignment at the surface of the water, and that's going to help them reduce the amount of drag that they create. Now, as we see here, the chest is going to drop a little bit. The kick's going to pop the hips up, which is going to exaggerate that position. And then when the swimmer decides to pull, that pull is going to bring them up out of the position. And by coming up at an angle, they're able to create more torque, more leverage on the water, and they're going to get a stronger pull. So that first kick when the hands enter is critical to, one, get the hips up in the beginning of the stroke, and then two, set up a powerful pull so that swimmers can create a lot of propulsion when they do pull. Now, if we watch the second kick here, you can see he's starting to come up, but those hips are a little bit low. And watch the kick here. You can see right there, those hips rise up to the surface, and it's going to be much easier for him to recover the arms. So we'll watch how much the hips elevate here. So from this position all the way through the kick up to there, it's a much higher position in the water, which is going to make it much easier to recover the arms over the surface. So we'll watch the whole thing one more time. You can see that incline of the body position and the body alignment. And then they're going to try to get out of that. They're going to kick there. That's going to pop the hips up, get them back into alignment, and then set up this pull here. And then the second kick is going to pop the hips up to the surface, make it much easier to recover the arms. And so the arm to leg timing is key. The legs have to kick when the arms enter to reestablish alignment and get the pull set up. And then the kick has to happen when the arms exit in order to create a smooth and effective recovery. If butterflies are missing out on one or both of these kicks, it's going to be really difficult to swim effective butterfly simply because they're really going to struggle to minimize resistance and they're going to struggle to create a lot of propulsion. So making sure that the arms and the legs are working in concert, they're doing the right thing at the right time, is key for fast butterfly. So let's reiterate why arm to leg timing is so important in butterfly. First of all, it facilitates effective arm recoveries. If the hips are underwater when swimmers are trying to recover the arms, it's just not going to work. They're going to either drag the arms through the water or they're going to have to really lift and pull the arms over the surface, which is going to be exhausting. In either case, more work for less speed. Kick timing also facilitates better alignment. If the hips don't come up at the front of the stroke, that means more drag and less speed. A strong kick upon entry can solve that problem by getting everything back into alignment. Lastly, great timing facilitates more propulsion. With high hips and a low chest, swimmers can create more leverage with the pull. They can go from low to high and really get on top of it. And then combining the kick and the finish of the pull creates a lot of speed heading into the arm recovery where there's not going to be any propulsion. So it's critical that swimmers accelerate as much as possible. So arm to leg timing really is key for the entire stroke because it allows for recoveries, it allows for better alignment, and then it also allows for more propulsion, which is everything swimmers need in order to go fast. So whereas a mediocre pull can produce mediocre results, so what makes arm to leg timing difficult for swimmers to learn in butterfly? First, the stroke doesn't work if the timing isn't right. Swimmers get in a situation where they can't practice effective butterfly because they can't get the timing right, and they can't get the timing right because they can't practice effective butterfly. Butterfly is particularly challenging in that respect. Timing is also all about precision. It's about doing the right thing at the right time, and a fraction too early or a fraction too late doesn't necessarily work. So while a moderately effective pull is going to create a moderate amount of propulsion, moderately effective timing isn't going to produce much of anything at all. It either has to be right or it doesn't really work. From a coaching standpoint, timing is also difficult to describe. It's not a specific action, it's more about the relationship between different actions, and so it's hard to tell swimmers, do this with your arm, do this with your leg, because it's about doing multiple things at exactly the right time. Lastly, timing changes slightly with speed, and so there's not necessarily a perfect timing. There's a perfect timing for a certain swimmer in a certain context. And so that makes it even more difficult because it's hard to be really prescriptive because swimmers are going to have to learn to adapt their timing depending on what they're trying to do. For all these reasons, it can be difficult to help swimmers learn effective arm to leg timing. Having discussed what timing is, why it matters, and the challenge of learning timing, let's get into the solutions. So we're going to go over a couple drills that I find to be really effective for helping swimmers improve their butterfly timing. We're going to go over a couple training strategies that can be really helpful for improving timing, and we'll go over 3 different sets that you can use as a starting point to either implement or modify to help swimmers start improving their timing. So as I mentioned earlier, learning butterfly can be challenging because they have to practice the stroke to get the timing right, and they got to get the timing right to practice the stroke. And if they can't figure it out, it becomes difficult to get the work in to try to figure it. And that can create a frustrating cycle, which limits progress. One of my favorite strategies is using one-arm butterfly because it breaks that cycle. It allows swimmers to practice butterfly in a less demanding situation. It reduces the recovery demand, but it maintains the rhythm of the stroke. And so swimmers can learn effective timing without having to swim full stroke. They can focus on kicking when the hands enter and kicking when the hands exit, and they can do that in a way that's very similar to regular butterfly. And once they're able to figure out the timing with one-arm butterfly, it's a lot easier to transition into regular butterfly. And once they can swim regular butterfly, they can really figure out the timing while actually swimming butterfly. I like to use both arm up variations and arm down. And what I mean by that is the non-working arm can be held up in front of the head, or it can be held down by the side. And when it's down by the side, there's going to be more undulation to the stroke. And when it's up in front of the head, it's going to be a flatter stroke. Both are effective, it's just a little bit different. So here's a quick example of one-arm butterfly, and you can see with this swimmer, kicking when the hands exit and kicking when the hands enter. So it's the same basic rhythm as regular butterfly without the recovery demands, and that provides them with the opportunity to learn effective kick timing within the actual rhythm of the stroke. So this is the arm down version, and as you'll see, there's a little bit more undulation to the stroke, and that extra undulation provides a little bit more variety, and it provides a different feel as compared to the arm up version. And if swimmers are having trouble getting enough undulation, this can be a more effective option. If swimmers are undulating too much, you probably want to go with the hand up version. So to recap one-arm butterfly, it allows swimmers to practice effective timing within the rhythm of regular butterfly, but at a much lower demand because both arms aren't recovering over the water. It's just one arm recovering over the water. And you can change the drill a little bit by either having the hand up in front of the head or down at the hips. Down by the hips, they'll get a little bit more undulation, and when the hand's up in front of the head, it's going to be a slightly flatter stroke. When swimmers are struggling with their timing, this can be a great place to start, and it can create a great foundation for effective timing while swimming full stroke butterfly. The next drill I like to use is head up butterfly. And so as we talked about earlier, the second kick when the hands are exiting the water gets the hips up so that the arms can be recovered. So if we want to encourage a stronger kick, what we can do is drive the hips down further. That's going to challenge swimmers to get even harder to get the hips back up to the surface to allow for a smooth recovery. How do you do that? You have them swim with the head up. The hips are going to be lower, and swimmers are going to struggle to recover the arms. As a result, they're going to have to kick harder and at the right time to get the hips back up on the surface. So rather than telling them to kick strongly or kick at the right time, simply exaggerate the challenge, and that's going to push swimmers to a harder and better timed kick. So if swimmers lift the head up, it's going to push the hips down, and if the hips are down, they're going to have to kick harder and more effectively in order to get the arms recovered smoothly over the surface. So just by lifting the head, we can really encourage a better timed and more effective kick when the hands are exiting the water. So if we watch here, he's going to have a really strong second kick because he's got to do whatever he can to get the hips up at the surface of the water. And so just by lifting the head, we can really encourage more effective timing and a stronger kick because swimmers have to have a strong kick. They have to time it well in order to recover the arms. And so it's a simple way to get the change we want without having to provide a lot of instruction. So having seen it in action, you can see how that second kick is going to be really strong, really powerful, and swimmers are going to instinctively execute it at the right time because if they don't, they're not going to be able to recover the arms. And the challenge of recovering the arms is going to be great feedback. It's going to let them know if they're being successful or not, and it's going to do so immediately. So they really start to figure out how hard they have to kick and when they have to kick by keeping the head up. In terms of a more generalized training strategy, one thing I really like for improving butterfly timing is adding resistance. And so the resistance builds more awareness while also increasing the challenge of recovering the arms effectively. And so there's two ways to do this. You can either use resisted swimming or you can use drag socks. They're both effective and they have a different impact. So with resisted swimming, especially with a parachute, the hips are almost always pulled down. And so swimmers are going to have to create more propulsion to move forward, and they're going to have to be more precise with their timing. Their kicks are also going to have to be more effective to get the hips back up to the surface of the water, and that's going to encourage a stronger kick and a better timed kick. So by making things more difficult, swimmers are going to have to be more forceful with their kicks, and they're going to have to time those kicks better in order to make forward progress down the pool. Drag socks can be particularly useful because they can help swimmers feel their feet and the impact of the timing. Having the resistance on the feet creates a lot more awareness of where the feet are and what they're actually doing. For swimmers that are struggling to feel what their kick is doing, this can be really helpful. The drag socks also make it more difficult to move the feet through the water, so swimmers are going to have to be more forceful with their kicking, and they're going to have to be better with their timing because if they're a little bit late, they're a little bit early, if they're not executing it right, they're not going to be able to easily correct because it's a lot more difficult to move the foot through the water. So they're going to have to be more effective with their kicking, and they're going to have to be more precise with their kicking. So resistance can be really difficult because it helps to build awareness of the impact of the kick, and it also makes it more difficult to execute great kick timing. For both those reasons, adding resistance can be a really powerful strategy for improving arm to leg timing in butterfly. Another really effective strategy is adding fins. And just like with adding resistance, it can help swimmers become more aware of what their feet are doing and the impact of the kick. A lot of swimmers don't have great awareness, they can't really feel what their feet are doing, and they can't feel the impact of an effective kick. And so for swimmers that are struggling, fins can dramatically increase awareness of the feet, and then once they have more awareness, they can start to influence what they're doing, which is going to help them better use the kick and better time the kick to facilitate great butterfly. Fins also provide a novel stimulus. They help swimmers feel effective timing in a totally different way, and they're really going to be aware of the impact of the kick because the kick is going to be a lot more effective when wearing fins. And so for those that can't really feel it, that really struggle, using fins can help them lock in on effective timing, and it can help them feel how kicking can shift hip position, which can in turn power the rest of the stroke. Fins also allow swimmers to practice these skills at faster speeds. And so for swimmers that can execute pretty solid timing at slower speeds but struggle at faster speeds, fins can be really useful for helping them figure out how to make it happen when swimming fast. And again, this provides a novel stimulus, novelty, variety. They're both really valuable and really important for facilitating improvement in skill. And the third strategy, which I use for almost all skill development, is to ask for performance. And so you want to use stroke counts, you want to use stroke rates, you want to use speed, and you want to use them in different combinations to push and challenge swimmers to find ways to swim better even when they're using drills. So you can use the drills, you can use the sensory activities and then perform. So for instance, you can have them do 350s one-arm butterfly and then do 250s butterfly descend by round, or you can actually have them perform during the drills, during the sensory activities themselves. So 3 100s one-arm butterfly, they're going to descend 1 to 3 at the same stroke count, and then 2 25s butterfly. So by challenging swimmers to change stroke counts, to change speed, to change stroke rate, they necessarily have to swim differently, and when they're doing that with drills, that's going to help them explore and find different solutions, and by doing that with either drills or full stroke swimming, that's going to force them to explore. And when they explore, they're a lot more likely to find effective solutions. They find effective solutions, they're going to improve their skills, and they're going to go faster. So here's the first set for arm to leg timing in butterfly. They're going to go 3 rounds through this. They're going to start off with 250s one-arm butterfly. They're going to build both 25s. First one arm by the side, second one's arm in front. Then they're going to go 225s head-up butterfly with fins, then 225s butterfly with fins. Then they're going to go 425s where they go 3 cycles of head-up butterfly and then swim butterfly into the wall. Then they're going to go 225s butterfly solid effort. So we're using our 2 drills here. We're using fins. We're having them build some of the 25s. We're challenging them in different ways. The goal is to find the rhythm of the stroke on those 250s, and then we'll exaggerate that strong second kick on the 225s. They'll try to figure it out and apply that second kick on the next 225s. And then on the final 625s, without the added benefit of the fins, they're going to establish a strong second kick on those first 3 cycles of head-up butterfly, and then they're going to try to maintain that strong second kick all the way into the wall, 225s to put it all together. So this is more of a skill-based set. There's not a huge challenge from a physical perspective, but it allows swimmers to explore and feel effective timing in lots of different ways. Our next set is going to be a little bit more of an endurance focus, so they're going to go 4 125s as one-arm butterfly plus 25 butterfly. They're going to descend 1 to 4 at the same stroke count. So they're going to find that rhythm on the one arm. They're going to try to apply that during the 25. And they're going to get faster as they go for each 125, but they can't take more strokes. So they got to be more effective with each stroke. And if the better they do with the timing, the more likely it is that they'll make that happen. Then 425s butterfly solid effort. We're going to apply that great timing. Just let it happen on those 25s. Then 675s as 51 arm 25 butterfly. They're going to descend 1 to 3, 4 to 6 at the same stroke count. It's the same idea as the 4 125s, except now there's more butterfly as a percentage of the total volume. Then they're going to go 425s butterfly stronger effort. Again, try to execute that same timing. Then they're going to go 825s one arm butterfly. They're going to build those to fast and then finish up with 425s butterfly strongest effort. So we're really putting some stress on the one arm. We're allowing them to do it in a little bit more of an endurance context, and we're expecting them to get faster, but they can't take more strokes when they do so. Then, on all those 25s butterfly, they got to put it together, they got to figure it out, they got to find a way to make it work. Our final set here is more of a speed set. They're going to go 6 cycles of head-up butterfly with drag socks and fins. That's going to really stress that second kick, and they're going to have to work really hard with the fins and the drag socks to overcome that resistance. They're going to have to put a lot into the kick, and they're going to have to be really precise with the timing to make it all work. Then they're going to go 25 butterfly, drag socks, and fins, minimize stroke count and time. So they're trying to be fast and long, and they have to execute great timing to make that happen. Then we're going to repeat that again with just the drag socks, and then we're going to repeat that again without any drag socks. Finish the round off with a 25 butterfly fast where they just try to make it happen. So as we go through this set, they're challenged to execute an effective second kick with the head-up butterfly. Then they're going to try to apply that on the 25 butterfly, and they're going to minimize stroke count and time to really put more pressure on effective timing because they got to be long and they got to be fast. We'll change the gear to give them a little bit different feel, and then we'll finish each round by going really, really fast. So we're going to challenge swimmers in a bunch of ways to really make sure that they're being really effective with their kick timing. So effective arm to leg timing in butterfly is all about getting the hips up at the right time to facilitate a really smooth stroke. The kick needs to happen when the hands enter to get everything back in line and set up for the pull. And the kick needs to happen when the hands exit so that the hips can be up at the surface to facilitate a smooth recovery. It's simple in concept, but it can be difficult for swimmers to learn because of the challenge of recovering the arms. And if the timing is not quite right, butterfly can be really hard to perform. And so, in order to help swimmers get to the point where they can swim full stroke butterfly well, one arm butterfly can be really effective because it simplifies the stroke. It allows swimmers to practice the right timing without having to worry about recovering both arms. As swimmers advance and you really want to put more stress on the second kick, head up butterfly can be really useful because it pushes the hips down. And so swimmers have to work really hard to get the hips back up to recover the arms. That means a stronger, better timed kick. And we can put more pressure on all these skills by using resistance, and we can further facilitate that process by using fins. Arm to leg timing is a key skill in butterfly, and now you have a better sense of what it is and how to improve it. Hope that was helpful, and as always, keep it simple.